Okay, we are doing our very first it's just me. I am doing my very first whiskey tasting video, and this is a doozy to start with. So this is the Uncle Nearest 1884. It is a Tennessee whiskey. It is not a bourbon, but a Tennessee whiskey. Those of us that drink whiskey more often, you're probably thinking, oh, Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey, and you are correct. And these are tied together. So the reason I am kind of like, ooh, about this is all the history I just learned about this, and there's a lot of Black history. So there's a little bit of like personal feeling involved in here, because Uncle Nearest, which Nearest Green was his name, was a slave, and it ends up he was the first African-American distiller ever, and he is the one that created the technique that created Tennessee whiskey, which is filtering through the charcoal of sugar maple trees. That is signature Tennessee whiskey, and it ends up that his partner was Jasper Daniels, otherwise known as Jack Daniels. And so like these dudes are linked, and so these spirits are linked. And it just took a lot of like journalists and researchers to kind of dig out this information. But here we are with Uncle Nearest 1884. It's still run by his descendants. This is running about 46.5% alcohol. So if you're comparing, 93 proof, if you're comparing it to Jack Daniels is about 40% alcohol, so 80 proof. So this is gonna have a little bit more of a punch, but usually along with the punch, especially if it's not over 100 proof, but I'm still learning too, it usually has more flavor in there. So this is their 1884, and I'm going to be tasting also their rye and their 1865, I believe. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry. There will be a video where I say it correctly. And yeah, I've been tasting and studying whiskey and bourbon for a while, but not nearly as intensely as wine. So this is also an education for me. What I have learned when tasting spirits is the first nose usually almost doesn't count, because it's usually burns, but already this smells extremely smooth, and it has a sweetness to it, as American whiskeys tend to do. So it feels like a cop-out, but it smells like maple syrup. And it doesn't have a lot of like dark, heavy toasted oak notes. Like it's not chocolatey or dark brown sugar. It is like light brown sugar. It is maple. Not a lot of spice on the nose like I'm expecting to smell with the rye. And I can feel a little bit of the heat there from our 93 proof, but it's not crazy. Oh, that's got some spice on the palate, which makes me think that there may be some rye in the mash bill. I didn't look it up. I'm just tasting blind here, but yeah, and that is really balanced. So because of that spice, but that gentle nose, whenever there's good spice in a whiskey, I always think it's a good nominee for old fashions, especially because this has a fairly simple sweet nose on it. It's not crazy complex, so you're not exactly ruining it. Like this is very pleasant to drink straight. But because of the spice and the nice pleasant nose, I like this in a cocktail, in an old fashioned with a little bit of the sugar in there to balance it out. Would be nice. A Sazerac would be okay, but Sazerac adds so much aggressive aroma to whiskeys. I prefer a whiskey that has a more aggressive aroma itself, so it can keep up with that. So really, an old fashioned, a Manhattan, because there's no sugar to balance it out, except for the red vermouth. I usually like a less aggressive spice bite on it. So yeah, but the Uncle Nearest, 1884, delicious.